Hey everybody. Somebody asked me how I got interested in the paranormal. Well, there's a story behind that, and I'm actually gonna do a whole vlog on that once we've gone over to the cemetery this week and stuff. But I want to tell you guys about a little thing that happened to me. I mentioned in my last video, I think I mentioned it anyway about having going to Saginaw, Michigan. I had a roommate, and I drove with my roommate, his sister, his niece, and his nephew, and some other person in a 1969 Dodge Dart with no floorboard. Only like it was like the Flintstone mobile, you could kick the ground, and it had no air conditioning. And this was in the middle of July. We went up to have corn. Michigan is famous for its corn. I never knew that. I always thought, Michigan was like the Great Lakes. I never knew Michigan had great corn. And so anyway, so this trip was an adventure. It took us 7 days to drive. Nobody had money for a motel or a hotel. We had to take turns sleeping in the car. At one point, I was sleeping on the ground outside, leaning against a tire. So this was like a really crazy trip. And these were not young people. I was the youngest, other than the niece and the nephew. I was only like 23. And the other people in the car, the grown-ups, were like 40 and 35. And I'm driving this old 69 Dodge Dart with the Flintstone mobile. And it was so bad when we stopped, the car was so bad. It was a 3-speed on the cob, has slant 6 engine in it. And so when we'd stop at red lights or stop signs, the gears would hang up. So somebody would have to jump out, run, open the hood up, untangle the gears, and put it back in gear and go in. This was at every stoplight, and they insisted I take my car to Michigan. And so, and everybody, it was hot and smelly. But the one thing that I have never forgotten of that trip, that was everybody that was not driving, me, other than me, was drunk, except me and the 2 kids. The other 2 people, they were like drinking constantly all the way up there, like, hey, she gonna shop me some more beer. I mean, that was the trip. And I had, but there's a song by Bob Seger called Turn the Page. And I had never heard that song. I was not never a very big much into Bob Seger, more of a Tom Petty kind of girl. And so it's called Turn the Page. And for the 16 or 17, 1800 miles, because there was no radio in the car either. The kid brought a CD, no, it was a cassette player, that was in the 80s. The kid brought a cassette player, and the batteries finally wore out, and that was the end of that. And so, all the way up there, they sang Bob Seger, Turn the Page. From the time we left Orlando, Florida, and got to Saginaw, Michigan, they sang Turn the Page. Before it was over with, I knew every single word, every single line to that song. And they just sang it over. It's like they didn't know any other music. It was just Bob Seger, Turn the Page. And I mean, I love the song, but I've never experienced anything like that in my life. And it's like we're stuffed in this car, and we're stopping every 40 minutes because everybody's drinking beer like, it's water, and having to stop and go to the restroom. It was 110 degrees in this car going to Saginaw, Michigan. And when we get up there, you know, the family, everybody was making these big, big pots of corn boiling. It's like it was the center of the whole meal. Dinner was the corn. And I was like, the children of the corn going through my mind. Anyway, and so they were nice people. Don't get me wrong, they were nice people. And but my roommate was going out with some of his buddies, and I wasn't his girlfriend or anything, but I had this really bad feeling about it. It wasn't a premonition. It's not like I saw something. It was just I felt something. And so I told him, I said, I really don't think you should do this. Because you drank all the way up here. Maybe you should take a couple of days off from the alcoholism. And so he went out with his buddies, and I was so sick. I mean, I really felt like there was definitely something wrong with this. And next thing I know, we get a call from the hospital. Everybody was mad at me. Everybody got mad at me because I told him not to go. Somehow I made this happen. No. No, 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 no. It does not work that way. And so, but he came out of the bar drunk on his butt, tripped, fell flat, busted his whole face up, had to have stitches and all kinds of stuff. And I had sympathy for him. I mean, I went to the hospital. We all went up there, but nobody spoke to me for the next 2 days. I was like, I wasn't there. I was some sort of, I had placed some sort of curse on their family. They're giving me this, and they're crossing their fingers behind their back. And they got their Bibles. And the trip back to Florida, we stayed up there, I think 5, 6 days. The trip back to Florida was silent. Silent. I mean, there was no turn the page. It was a quiet drive. Kid had gotten some more batteries, so he was playing a little bit of White Snake, I think was what was going on back there. And so that was one of my little adventures that I thought I would share. I have a lot more of those, but that particular one, it was always been in my mind because how insane is that, what we did? And I think about other things we do when we're young that we would never do as 40-year-olds or 50-year-olds, that we don't aspire to those kind of antics anymore. I mean, I'm driving a car with a hole in the floorboard this big, right, on the passenger seat. This was big enough if somebody had fell asleep and slid off the table, or slid off the chair, they'd been right into the road. It was really that big. And and it's like, we don't do those things anymore. It's like, what happened? Did something change us? Was it work? Yeah, I think so. Work, trying to raise a child, or getting married, or doing something. It always changes us from what we were. We go through these different stages of life. I think, and when we get older, is that what they mean when they talk about we have middle age crisis? What is that called? Midlife crisis. We all have midlife. Do women have midlife crisis? I don't know. They say men do because they go out and buy Camaros, and whatever other sports cars, BMWs, because they're having a midlife crisis. But what do we get? What do women have? Do we have midlife crisis? Do we all want to be like, I mean, I'm not the cougar type, please, God forbid. I'm sort of the old librarian type, old cat lady type, I guess. And so I don't know. What do women do in their midlife? We don't have, like me, I'm old. Well, I'm not that old, but I'm old. Look, I mean, gray. Maybe next time you see me, I'll go get a haircut and get some dye, in here. But in the meantime, I'm just who I am, and I'm okay with that. And but we change. And I don't want to be 25 again. I don't want to be 30 again. But I just feel like there's got to be more to life than school and work and cleaning house, and there's just more than this, and I just have to figure out how to find it. And I hope you find it too. I hope all of you find it. Or are you doing what makes you happy? Because I think that's the one thing I think we miss a lot because we're always working or doing something. We have to find what makes us happy. My first job, okay, was with the Gooding's $1 Million Midways, the Chattahoochee Valley Fair, and I was a barker for the glass house. I stood in front of the glass house wearing big sunglasses and a big floppy hat, and I yelled at people. I said, "Hey, come here, stupid!" I was saying things like this. You scared? What? Whatever. It was fun, and that's what a job should be. Not that everybody should want to be a barker, but something that makes you laugh and that makes other people laugh, and something that makes other people happy, that and makes you happy. That's what we should all aspire to. So, anyway, bye. Have a great day.